Yes, hello. Yeah, I was just gonna, I watched an interview with Mickey Rourke the other day, and today I watched somebody react to what he said about Tom Cruise. First, his interview with Piers Morgan, yeah, that's the one we're talking about. First of all, it was a really great interview, and I also watched the part that was, you know, not shown right away, and that was also filmed after the broadcast ended, where he where he cursed a lot and stuff like that. Talked about Ukraine and all that, his relationship with Putin, but this all right, all that was very moving and interesting. But this is what this guy took from that interview, and that's kind of sad. I feel because people are not really interested in this stuff, which is much more serious and relevant. But no, the big deal is that he said that Tom Cruise is irrelevant, that he has played the same part for 35 years. And yeah, I agree to an extent. Well, maybe not 35 years, but 24 years, I would say. Okay, let's take it from the beginning. I used to be a huge Tom Cruise fan as a child, and in my teens also, most of them, yeah. But then I started to dislike him, and why? Because he, early on in the 80s and the early 90s, he did some really good movies. Where he really displayed his acting talent, where he showed himself, as an actor, really, that he did have a talent and not just a face and a cocky grin, or stuff like that. Yeah, he wasn't just this kind of teen idol type, you know, uh, pretty boy, whatever, He was actually an actor. Like in Rain Man, for instance, he proved that for real. And he was also good in The Color of Money, and yeah, later on in Magnolia, I think that was his really last great performance. The last part where he really, you know, was an actor and not just a Hollywood star. But then, those goddamn Mission Impossible movies, the sequels came, then and then Minority Report and all that BS. He still made some decent films, I guess, but he was no longer, a true actor. He was now just a Hollywood star. Seems like he only cared about staying on the A list, and he would do anything, do anything to stay there, to stay as big as possible, and that's something that I really respect because he compromised his own talent, his own, you know, integrity as an actor. I mean, guys like Al Pacino, Ray Liotta, and yeah, guys like that, they would never do that, right? And yeah, of course, there are also others who have done the same thing, but now we are not talking about others. We are talking about Mr. Tom Cruise. So yeah, this guy who was talking about this was really attacking Mickey Rourke because of that, and he goes on to say, "Yeah, well, Top Gun sequel is the biggest selling movie of 2022. Yeah, and so that's not the subject, man. That's not what Mickey was talking about. Was trying to say being irrelevant as an actor doesn't mean he didn't mean that he was irrelevant in the Hollywood in the movie business. Of course, he's not. He's still a big star, right? He's huge, but as an actor, right? Being an actor, as an actor who practices the craft of acting, he has become irrelevant. And I told you, since when? Since he turned, or somebody turned anyway, Mission Impossible into a franchise, and he said yes to doing all those sequels, and they all were pretty much about the same thing. Him, climbing, skyscrapers, jumping off skyscrapers. It was like, oh, watch me do this stunt, at 50 something, see how much I can still do, and watch me ride the motorbike real fast and jump and blah 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 and fight. And he also played Jack Reacher, which was really not, yeah, not really the best casting because physically, I mean, considered his age, he really just didn't fit in with that role. Many will point out that Last Samurai was a good movie. I don't know really. I used to think so, but yeah, I think it's too Hollywoodish. Really. I didn't like that kind of, Hollywood making their own twist on a samurai movie that never really turns out authentic, enough. It did maybe look somewhat authentic, but not really. Yeah. But as I said, Magnolia, that was the last time Tom Cruise, and he got an Oscar nomination for it, of course. That showed that they did. Everybody thought that he had really acted very well in that role, which was also a very uncharacteristical role for him. And that's what a real actor does, right? He takes on, he doesn't just play good guys, heroes, whatever, guys who get the girls, guys who win all the fights, who are always on the right side morally. No, true actor plays everybody. I mean, a scoundrel, a crook, a bad guy, a morally unclean guy. So that's what he did here. I mean, even though he wasn't totally, of course, a bad guy in this movie, but yeah, it was certainly very controversial. And yeah, I just enjoyed that scene when he is being interviewed, by a woman. She brings out his whole past, and he's like, just staring at her with contempt. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, seems like at one point he became more concerned with staying on the A list and making the big money and being out there under the spotlight always. I think that was when other actors started, bringing competition to him as a, the kind of, charming, boyish looking actor like Colin Farrell, for instance. I always thought that Colin Farrell was one of those who kind of threatened for a while, and he threatened his status there in Hollywood, and yeah, he was one of them. Also, perhaps Jude Law, you might argue, did the same, and yeah. So I guess he just became so obsessed with competing with those younger guys, and yeah, that's just I don't really appreciate. I don't. I maybe others will say, good for you, bravo, stuff like that for keeping up with the younger ones. But no, I think that was kind of silly of him. But yeah, so that was my 2 cents on this. Yeah, I mean, Tom Cruise has become just. I wish he would retire from acting. That's how much I'm tired of seeing his face in various movies still. But I don't think he will. The same goes for Tom Hanks. I mean, they should all fucking retire. Alec Baldwin, and yeah, all that. Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, George Clooney. I am sick. We are. I think I'm not the only one who says this. We are sick of seeing you guys in every fucking major movie, almost every major movie that comes out, and one of you is in it, right? Oh man. So yeah, I mean, of course, I understand Mickey's frustration as well. I mean, he's at least as good actor as Cruz is, but he doesn't look so good now. He's got aged, and even before when he still looked good enough, wasn't at all. He was, the thing is, as far as I understood it, was that he turned down certain roles. And when you do that, the studio, the Hollywood, they put you, on their blacklist, So yeah, he got blacklisted for that, obviously, in the 90s, sometime in the later 90s, I think, second half. Because in the first half, he was still making, movies that did sell, enough. So, but not many. Yeah, not many, but he was still making. But anyway, he just turned out to be a uh, really compassionate human being, and one of those who really knows what hardships of life are. So yeah, of course, I wish him all the best. And when it comes to Tom Cruise, as I said, I don't think anybody really is that interested in him today. I mean, except for those really die-hard fans. So I mean, yeah. But I did enjoy the sequel to Top Gun. I was a big fan of the first movie as a child, of course, and a youngster. So I think that's pretty universal, no matter if you come from the West or not. That movie, I think, struck a chord with many young people back then. Yeah. So yeah, that was all for now. Bye bye.